Algorithm addiction. This week, we've been talking about the digital world, about the sleep it has been stealing, about the apps that have been managing our feelings that we never fully named, about the phone as a mirror that does not lie about where our attention has actually been going. And today, on this day of Digital Detox Week, I want to close the loop on something that has been underneath every single one of those conversations: the algorithm. But not as a tech concept, not as a topic for a computer science class, but as a force that has been shaping what you and I see, what we think about, what we believe about ourselves sometimes, and the world, and who you and I are quietly becoming. One curated, personalized, precision targeted piece of content at a time. The high performing woman who opens her feed and immediately, involuntarily begins measuring her life against someone else's highlight reel. The person who came online looking for connection and left feeling more alone than before because the feed was full of everyone else's opinions about who they should be and what they should want. Both of them thinking the discomfort is about them. Neither of them realizing it was by design. And today, we name what was designed. And we decide together to design something far better. Hey y'all, I'm Madison Samone Chase, also known as Miss Chase. I was raised by an incredible single mom who is my biggest fan and my BFF. I am a certified celebrity personal trainer, fitness and wellness expert, and sports and entertainment media host. Born in Fort Worth, raised in Dallas, built in Los Angeles. I had the privilege and honor of training at Juilliard with the School of American Ballet, becoming the world's only three-time ESPN Miss Fitness champion, appearing in more than 450 fitness DVDs. And the first of the 450 was led by celebrity trainer Gunnar Peterson, who's known for training the Kardashian family. As a certified celebrity personal trainer, some of my most notable clients include Robert Pattinson of Twilight and Batman, Chris Tucker of Rush Hour, and Amber Riley of Glee. As a sports and entertainment media host, some of my favorite red carpet moments include chatting with Richard Branson, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Emma Stone, Tyler Perry, Viola Davis, Justin Baldoni, Issa Rae, and Tiana Taylor, to name a few. I share my accomplishments to honor the many sacrifices my mom planted so that I could blossom and flourish into the woman I'm still becoming. So if you're listening, pull up a digital chair, grab yourself a cup of hot or cold herbal tea, and welcome to my cozy home of Cut to the Chase at 8. A 15-minute micro-learning moment for macro living. And I am so overjoyed that you are here, because this is where we explore and lean into life with our lived experiences, yours and mine, where we invite lots of grace in this space because we're living in some interesting times. We chat all about spirit, mind, and body health that is ultimately our wealth in microdoses for macro living. So make sure you join me for just twice a day for just 15 minutes. 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, because this is your 15-minute chance for your daily pause for a cause, clarity, wellness, grace, and intentional decision making. And giving yourself grace, because how we start our day and how we end it matters. Each episode, my offer to you is 3 keys and 1 question to sit with. Something practical, something grounded, and something you could carry with you. So wherever you're listening from, turn it up and tune in. And if anything you hear today pricks your heart or lights a spark, I'd love for you to subscribe, share this with someone you care about, leave a comment so that this becomes a dialogue and not just a monologue. And please leave a 5-star rating. Now, let's take a breath together. We're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's lean into today's episode of Cut to the Chase at 8. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready, set, and go and grow and be great. Again, the title for today's episode is Algorithm Addiction. As we finish out the digital detox discussion, I want to open with a moment of acknowledgement before we get into today's 3 keys. If you've been with me all week, we've been cleaning out our phones and clearing our minds through the conversation about social media and identity, through the sleep we've been losing and the apps we have been using to manage what we have not wanted to feel. Because we've done some real work, some honest work, the kind that does not always feel like work in the moment because it looks like sitting with a podcast and a cup of tea. But naming things clearly is work. And this week, you named some things very clearly. And today we close the week by going to the source, not the apps individually, not the screen time, but the intelligence underneath all of it, the algorithm, and what it has been doing to the two people in the audience that I'm speaking to and myself. And that's who I want to speak to today. These two women and myself. The high performing woman who has built something real and she's proud of it. And every single time she opens her feed, she finds herself involuntarily measuring what she has built against what someone else appears to have. And the person who came to the internet looking for community, for belonging, for a sense of what is true and what matters, and she still finds, instead, a relentless stream of other people's opinions filling up the space where her own voice is supposed to live. This episode is for both of you and me. And it is the bridge between the digital detox week we're closing today and the relationship detox we're going to step in tomorrow. Because what the algorithm does to your relationships with yourself is the foundation of everything that comes next. Which brings me to key number 1. See, we are not addicted to the content. We are addicted to the feeling it produces. This is the reframe that changes everything about how you and I approach the detox. Because if we believe the problem is the content, the specific posts, the specific accounts, the platforms, then the solution is always just to find better content or a better platform. And maybe you do it for a week or two, and then the craving comes back in the same form or a slightly different one because the underlying need was never addressed. The scroll is not the addiction. The emotional state the scroll produces is the addiction. And it's different for everyone, which is why the algorithm is so effective. It learns our specific emotional triggers with a precision that most of the people in our lives will never, ever achieve. For the high-performing woman, the feed often produces a very specific cocktail of feelings. There's a brief hint of validation when her own content performs well. Her own work is acknowledged. Her own effort is seen. And then there's the immediate, almost involuntary comparison when the next post appears. Someone who seems to be doing what she's doing, but bigger, faster, with more reach, more resources, more apparent ease. The algorithm learned a long time ago that this particular sequence, validation followed quickly by comparison, keeps her engaged longer than either feeling alone. The discomfort of the comparison is what makes her keep scrolling, looking for the next hit of validation to balance it out. The loop has a name. It's not called inspiration. It's called a variable reward schedule. And it is the same mechanism that makes gambling so difficult to stop. And for the people pleasers, the feed produces something different, but equally consuming. The algorithm has learned that this person engages most with the content that tells them what to think, what to feel, what to believe, and how to show up. It fills their feed with strong opinions, prescriptive advice, and other people's certainty. Because certainty is compelling when you are someone who has spent a lifetime being more comfortable with everyone else's needs and preferences than your own. The feed becomes a substitute for the inner voice the people pleaser has been systemically taught to distrust. And every time they open it, they outsource a little more of their own authority to the crowd. So I want you to name that feeling, not the content, the feeling, because that is where the addiction actually lives. which brings me to key number 2. The algorithm has been a better student of you than you and I realize. I want us to sit with something for a moment. The algorithm that curates your feed has been studying you without interruption. Every time you open the app, it's registered not just what you clicked on, but how long you paused before you scroll past something. It's noted what made you type a response and then delete it without sending it. It's tracked what you watched to the end and what you abandoned halfway through. It's been built over months and years of continuous observation, a model of your psychological landscape that is more detailed and more accurate than most people who know you in real life could ever produce. So, this is not meant to invoke fear or frighten you, it's meant to motivate us. Because here is the implication of the truth that most people never follow to its conclusion. If the algorithm knows you that well, and the algorithm was built to exploit what it knows rather to serve your growth, then you are being shaped by something that understands your weaknesses better than you do and has a financial incentive to keep you in them. The high-performing woman's feed is full of comparison content. Not because the internet is randomly unkind, it is because the algorithm identified comparison as her specific vulnerability and learned that comparison content keeps her engaged. The people pleaser's feed is full of other people's strong opinions, not because that's just what's out there. It's because the algorithm identified approval seeking as this person's specific vulnerability and learned that prescriptive content keeps them coming back. So this detox is not about being angry at the algorithm. It's about deciding what you and I are going to know ourselves better than it does. We are going to know ourselves better. We're going to beat this algorithm. That you and I are going to be the one who names our vulnerabilities. That we're going to tend to our emotional needs and decide what shapes our inner life and our inner voice and our spirit. Not a system that was built to monetize the gap between you, who you are, and who you wish you were. Which brings me to key number 3. Breaking the addiction starts with building a life compelling enough to compete with the algorithm and the feed. Every conversation about algorithm addiction eventually arrives at the same practical question. If I am going to scroll less, what am I going to do instead? And most digital detox advice answers that questions with restrictions. Set a timer, delete the app for 30 days, put the phone in another room. And while those boundaries have value, we talked about that this week. Restriction alone is one of the least sustainable strategies available to you because the underlying need that the feed was meeting is still there. And a life with a gap in it where the scroll used to be will eventually fill that gap with something. And the question is whether you fill it intentionally or by default. The most powerful digital detox strategy is not subtraction, it is addition. Specifically, the intentional addition of real life inputs that meet the same emotional needs the algorithm has been meeting, but actually sustainably in ways that build you rather than borrow from you. Think about what the feed has actually been giving you. For the high-performing woman, it's been giving her a sense of being seen, of her work mattering, or of being part of a community of people who are building something. Those are legitimate human needs. The feed is just a poor and costly delivery mechanism for them. The question is, where else in her actual life can those needs be met? A real community of peers who know her work, a mentor of accountability partner who actually witnesses her growth, a creative practice that generates its own sense of meaning independent of anyone else's response to it, a morning that begins with her own intentions rather than someone else's content. And for the people pleaser, the feed has been giving them a sense of belonging, of knowing what the group thinks, of not being alone in their uncertainty. Also legitimate needs, also poorly served by a platform that profits from the uncertainty. The question is, what real world communities, relationships, and practices can offer genuine belonging without requiring them to outsource their own voice in exchange for it? When your actual life has enough presence, purpose, beauty, and genuine connection to compete with the dopamine loop of the algorithm, the feed loses its grip. Not because you've worked your way through the craving, but because the craving has somewhere better to go. So let's bring this together. This week, we've talked about cleaning our phone, protecting our sleep, naming the feelings your apps have been managing, auditing, and where your attention has actually been going. And now, understanding the intelligence behind all of it and deciding to build something that competes with it. So the digital detox was never about hating technology. It was about reclaiming the relationship between you, your spirit, your mind, and your body. It was about deciding that the algorithm does not get to be the primary author of your inner life and your spirit. That your attention, finite, precious, irreplaceably belongs first to the life you are actually trying to build. And tomorrow, when we step into week 3 of this detox series, and we're going somewhere deeper, we're going to look into relationships, into the bonds that have shaped us, some of them in ways we are still untangling, into the people we have led and held on to longer than was healthy, and the patterns we've carried into every room we've ever walked into. The digital detox prepared you for that conversation because before you can detox from relationships that have not been serving you, we have to be able to hear our own voice clearly enough to know that what we're actually feeling without the algorithm filling that space with noise. Because we did the work this week and we're going to take that with us. So what has the algorithm been feeding you most consistently? And that might be a reflection of who you are or a portrait of who has been quietly shaping you to become. And those are two very different things. And the distance between them is exactly the size of the work the detox has been asking you to do. Sit with that today and come back tonight because at 8 p.m., we're going to begin the relationship detox. And it starts with the most important relationship of all. So before you go, I want to say thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure sharing this time with you. And thank you for continuing to give yourself grace in this space with me today. I'm thankful you chose to sit into this cozy digital home with me. And before you go, let's quickly revisit our 3 keys. Key 1, you are not addicted to the content. You are addicted to the feeling it produces. And I want you to name that feeling before you open that feed. That naming is where the freedom begins. Key number 2, the algorithm has been a better student of you than we really want to realize. And using that feed as a mirror today, I want you to look and see what keeps showing up for you and ask, what vulnerability has it identified? Then decide to know yourself better than it does, the algorithm. Key number 3, breaking the addiction starts with building a life compelling enough to compete with the feed. Make one real life investment this week that meets the need the algorithm has been meeting for you. And the question to sit with, what has the algorithm been feeding you most consistently? And is that a reflection of who you are or a portrait of who it has been quietly shaping you to become? So if today's episode offered you clarity, insight, or even a pause for a cause you didn't know you needed, if there's anything that pricked your heart or lit a spark, I'd love for you to subscribe, share this with someone you care about, and please leave a comment so that this becomes a dialogue and not a monologue, and a 5-star rating. It helps this space to grow and reach the people who need it most. And before we close, I want to extend an invitation for you to join the Cut to the Chase at 8 Chasers Circle founding member. It's a foundational community for those who want to build, grow, and heal together intentionally and honestly. And you could support at any level because every contribution matters and every member belongs. So thank you for joining me here twice a day for our daily 15-minute microdose for macro living. Now let's close with one breath together. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll see you tonight at 8. And thank you for stepping into something new together. This is Cut to the Chase at 8 with me, Madison Samone Chase. Thank you for starting and ending your day with grace. It's Cut to the Chase at 8. You're ready, set, grow, and let's go. Let's be clear and let's be great. Blessings to you and yours. Until tomorrow.